What's going on, everyone? So, I'm very high on Jake Laravia. I actually think he may end up being the answer to all the Lakers' problems. I mean, last year he was B-rated, a B-plus rated defender. Guy was averaging 18 a game with Sacramento before he got hurt. Right? He's a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if quarter or midway through the season, he actually ends up being our starting three. He's a guy that can be a legit two-way guy that I think has tons of upside and potential and growth. Right? I've talked about it. He is better now by like a good margin than Rui was when we got Rui. Now, obviously, I'm talking about Rui then, right? But Laravia might be, if you include the defense on both sides of the basketball, might be more impactful for what this Lakers team needs. Do a lot of the same stuff, self-create, shoot the three ball, right? Rui's just kind of really established himself in that role for the Lakers, to his credit. But you got to keep in mind, when we got Rui Hachimura, he was Jake Laravia's age when we acquired him, and Jake Laravia is just better on both sides of the basketball. So if he can kind of have the same kind of upside trajectory as what we've seen with Rui, but on both sides of the basketball, he could be a real player for the Lakers. But see a lot of naysayers about Jake Laravia, see a lot of just conversation about like, oh, Tyler, you're overblowing the guy. So figured, well, let's talk about it. Let's really break it down here, right? So it's not just my word for it. It's just, let's actually go over the numbers and see if he really could potentially have an impact. Now, obviously, you never know how somebody's going to translate from one team to another, right? You never know how, he could be better, he could be worse, right? Because roles are different, the opportunity is different, the minutes are different, right? Like, if he's getting a bigger role, he could end up being a more impactful player than he was anywhere else. If he gets a smaller role, he could be less impactful, right? You even see guys that are really good in a specific role. Taurean Prince, when he was on the Lakers, great example, right? When he got like 15 minutes of action, he's one of the best Lakers, right? But as soon as he played that 15 in 1 minute, all of a sudden, that was it. He became the worst Laker. So, it also really depends on just, again, opportunity, role, fit, things like that. But I don't think there will be a problem in that regard. However, right, Jake Laravia, the offensive side of things. We all know Jake Laravia can score the basketball. I mean, even if you just look up the box score, you can see he scored the basketball. So let's get into kind of the defensive side of things. So Jake Laravia on the season was a 113 defensive rating. However, he was a 110.7 with the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Which is very good. So, and on top of that with the Memphis Grizzlies, when he was on the court with Memphis, Memphis had a 108.7 defensive rating. The Memphis Grizzlies with Jake Laravia off the court was a -7. With him on the court, they were a plus 12, 11.9 if you want to be exact, with him on the court compared to off the court. That is fantastic. Right? I mean, that's not just good, that's great defensive numbers. Right? Like, you're talking about a guy who impacted, the Memphis Grizzlies were better with him on the basketball court. Now, Sacramento, right? He was going to Sacramento, based on those metrics, the best defensive player on Sacramento at the time he went. And by the same metrics, was the best defensive player in Sacramento. He ended up going and dropping down as far as like the defensive rating goes. He was around like a 115, which is why he averaged out to a 113.7. But again, the closest to Jake Laravia when he went to the Sacramento Kings was a 113, almost 114 defensive rating. That means Sacramento was one of the worst defenses in all of basketball. And he still went there. Problem is, he just was on such a small sample size because he ended up getting hurt that it's hard to know, like, how would it, like, would he have really changed things or would it have hurt him more? But on a team in Memphis that was a good defensive team, he was a real staple and fit in very nicely. Now, you sought him alongside a Marcus Smart, and if DeAndre Ayton buys in and LeBron buys in on defense, or you add in like a Jared Vanderbilt, right? Because Laravia, with his size and his ability to slot in at the 4, right? So maybe you could even do something where you have Luka, Marcus Smart, Jared Vanderbilt, Jake Laravia, and DeAndre Ayton out there. Or at times, again, same thing with Luka Doncic, a Marcus Smart, a Jake Laravia, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton. If they end up buying in on the defensive side of things, Lakers might be very good defensively, and Jake Laravia might be a big piece to that. I see a lot of people talking about like, he's And I think a lot of it is just they don't know who he is as a player, right? Which is fine. A lot of people, don't pay attention to every player in the league, especially like the random players that are on these random, like I get it. But I also think a lot of people are like criticizing Jake Laravia, and it seems like they have no idea. You know how many comments I've gotten that are like, he's not a good defender? And I'm like, except every metric, every number says otherwise. Now, is he like best defender in all of basketball? No. But is he a above average defender? Yes. And again, it's not my opinion. It's not just my thoughts, right? Like I don't believe Jake Laravia is going to be very good for the Lakers because it's just my thoughts, right? I'm just like, oh, hey, this random guy is going to be really good. No, I've talked about it I haven't broken down the numbers like number by number, but I talked about his defensive rating. I've talked about his defensive and offensive impact. I've talked about how he was an 18-point a game scorer before he got hurt with Sacramento. Talked about all those things, right? But to really break down the numbers, again, I'm not just like hoping Jake Laravia will be good. I'm looking at the actual numbers, the facts. Like, what do the facts say? The facts say he is everything this Lakers team needs on both sides of the basketball. Right? He's 23 years old. He'll be 24, a month into the season, right? So he's a guy that, again, he's 6'8", 235, right? He's better defensively, better equipped at the three than a Rui Hachimura. He can slot in at either forward spot like a Rui Hachimura. Right? He's not hyper athletic. Like when we originally acquired him, I talked about how he's an athletic player and whatnot. And people are like, he's not athletic. He is athletic. He's not like a Thero athletic or like Jackson Hayes athletic, but he had tested good lane, good shuttle, right? The guy can move his feet well. He's shifty. Right, he can stay in front of guys. He's got good size, good length, a good wingspan. But what else can he do? Right, what other impacts can he have with the team? Right, so overall last year played 66 games, 20 minutes per game, 5.1 field goals. He actually was 5.1 on the dot with both Memphis as well as Sacramento, and then 49% with Memphis, 44%. He actually had his production drop a little bit with Sacramento, but it was all offense, zero defense, right? I mean, just look at Sacramento's roster, right? But overall in the season, 47.5% between the two teams. He, from three-point range, was 42.3%, which was better than Rui Hachimura, who's a 41%, right? So that's something to keep in mind. He was 44.4% from three-point range with Memphis. He dropped down to 38.5% on three attempts, right? Which is still very good. Like, that's not one of those things where it's like, oh, like you see guys that, like Marcus Smart had, like a 38 almost 40% three-point shooting with Memphis, and then ended up dropping with Washington, or just vice versa. But like, you'll see that all the time. Like, a guy is really good shooting the basketball in one area, terrible in the other. Well, again, Jake Laravia is going to be playing alongside Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. You don't think he's going to shoot well? So he gives you the defense, right? Memphis was better defensively, better offensively too, but better defensively, because that's what we're all kind of focused on. He was better defensively, or Memphis was better defensively with Jake Laravia on the court than without. They had a plus 12 point differential when he was on the court. Now, some people might look at that and go, well, he only played 47 games last season. Yes, but he's played 110 total, or 107 total, or 117. Sorry, math is bad. 35, and then 47. 117. Played 117 games total, which is, over a season. It's a season and a quarter, or a little over a quarter, and it's all the same, right? Or pretty close, pretty similar. His rookie season was, he's coming in the league, and he didn't get the minutes and stuff compared to like the other years. But you look at the overall sample size, like his impact when he was on the court during his tenure, Memphis was better on both sides of the basketball with Jake Laravia on the basketball court, right? But getting into two-point range, he was 51.3% from two-point range on three attempts, EFG of 56.4% overall. Free throw shooting. Now, he was good with Memphis. He was actually terrible, but his attempts dropped in half. shooting the free throws, he was 67.8% on 1.7 attempts overall. He was 70% with Memphis on 2 attempts, and then with Sacramento, he was 58% on 1 attempt. Rebounding, overall on the season, he was 4 rebounds. He was 4.4 with Memphis, and then 2.8 with Sacramento. Assists, he averaged 2.5 assists, which again, Memphis 2.8. Sacramento 1.3, had a steal 0.9, so a steal on the dot between both teams, and then half a block between both teams, and was 7 points per game. If you look at his per 36 doesn't tell you everything, but if he does end up being a starter, kind of get close, he'd be 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2 steals, and then half a block, right? So he's giving you comparable Rui numbers on top of being better defensively. People are sleeping on Jake Laravia. People need to stop sleeping on Jake Laravia. That guy's going to be very good for the Lakers. We'll see. Obviously, you never know until he actually plays. I'm confident that based on the numbers, based on the metrics, that will translate. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.